Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्.
Dear viewers, I am C.S. Yashru Dikshit. In our earlier session, we were discussed the concept of corporate governance, definition of corporate governance, what is corporate governance, need for corporate governance, scope of corporate governance, the company and its stakeholders, ownership and control. In today's session, I am going to discuss the theories of corporate governance, agency theory, shareholder theory, stakeholder theory, stewardship theory, sociological theory, models of corporate governance, Anglo-American model, the German model, the Japanese model, Indian corporate governance model. So viewers, by the end of this session, you would be able to understand, number first, to understand theories of corporate governance. Next, to explain the concept of agency theory. Next, to explain the concept of shareholder theory. Next, to explain the concept of stakeholder theory. Next, to explain the concept of stewardship theory. Next, to explain the concept of sociological theory. Next, to understand models of corporate governance. Next, to explain the concept of Anglo-American model. Next, to explain the concept of the German model. To explain the concept of the Japanese model. Next, to explain the concept of Indian corporate governance model. So let us begin our today's session with understanding the concept of theories of corporate governance. There are many theories of corporate governance which address the challenges of governance of firms and companies from time to time. The corporate governance is a process of decision making and the process by which decisions are implemented in large businesses is known as corporate governance. The original corporate concept enriched a philosophical assumption about the nature of man, one that has been reflected in the stewardship theory, which assumes that man is essentially trustworthy, able to act in good faith in the interest of others with integrity and honesty. There are various theories which describe the relationship between the various stakeholders of the business while carrying out the activities of the business. There are 5 broad theories to explain and explicate corporate governance. The first theory is agency theory. In this theory, managers act as agent of the corporation. The owners set the central objectives of the corporation. Managers are responsible for carrying out these objectives in day-to-day work of the company. Corporate governance is a control of management through designing the structures and processes. In agency theory, the owners are the principals, but principals may not have the knowledge or skill for getting the objectives executed. Thus, principal authorities the manager to act as agents and a contract between principal and agent is made. Under the contract of agency, the agent should act in good faith. He should protect the interest of the principal and should remain faithful to the goals. In modern corporation, the shareholdings are widely spread. The management, that is the agent, directly or indirectly selected by the shareholders, that is the principals, pursue the objectives set out by the shareholders. The main thrust of the agency theory is that the action of the management differ from those required by the shareholders to maximize their return. Corporate governance puts in a place such system of oversight. Number first point, fair and accurate financial disclosure. Financial and non-financial disclosure which relate to the role of the independent statutory auditors appointed by the shareholders to audit a company's accounts should present a fair view of the financial health of the corporation. Point number second, efficient and independent board of directors. A joint stock company is owned by the shareholders who appoint directors to supervise management and ensure that it does all that is necessary legal and ethical means to make the business grow and maximize long-term corporate value. Directors are fiduciaries of the shareholders, not of the management. Now that we will discuss the shareholder theory. In this theory, it is the corporation which is considered as the property of shareholders. They can dispose of this property as they like. They want to get maximum return from this property. The owners seek a return on their investment, and that is why they invest in a corporation. But this narrow role has been expanded into overseeing the operations of the corporations and its managers to ensure that the corporation is in compliance with the ethical and legal standards set by the government. So, the directors are responsible for any damage or harm done to their property, that is the corporation. The role of managers is to maximize the wealth of the shareholders. They therefore should exercise due diligence, care and avoid conflict of interest and should not violate the confidence reposed in them. The agent must be faithful to shareholders. Now we will discuss stakeholder theory. Stakeholder theory is an idea about how businesses really works. It says that for any business to be successful, it has to create value for customers, suppliers, employees, communities and financiers, shareholders, banks and other people with the money. Stakeholder theory is the idea that each one of this group is important to the success of a business, and figuring out where their interests go in the same direction is what the managerial task and the entrepreneurial task is all about. Stakeholder theory suggests that the purpose of a business is to create as much value as possible for stakeholders. In order to succeed and be sustainable over time, executive must keep the interest of customers, suppliers, employees, communities and shareholders aligned and going in the same direction. According to this theory, the company is seen as an input and output model, and all the interest groups, which includes creditors, employees, customers, suppliers, local community and the government are to be considered. From their point of view, a corporation exists for them and not the shareholders alone. The different stakeholders also have a self-interest. The interests of these different stakeholders are at times conflicting. The managers and the corporation are responsible to mediate between these different stakeholders' interests. The stakeholders have solidarity with each other. This theory assumes that stakeholders are capable and willing to negotiate and bargaining with each other. This results in long-term self-interest. The role of shareholder is reduced in the corporation, but they should also work to make their interests compatible with the other stakeholders. This requires integrity and managers play an important role here. They are faithful agents but of all stakeholders, not just stockholders. Now we will discuss stewardship theory. The word steward means a person who manages other properties or estate. Here the word is used in the sense of guardian in relation to a corporation. This theory is value-based. The managers and employees are to safeguard the resources of corporation and its property and interest when the owner is absent. They are like a caretaker. They have to take utmost care of the corporation. They should not use the property for their selfish ends. This theory thus makes use of social approach to human nature. The managers should manage the corporation as if it is their own corporation. They are not agents as such but occupy a position of stewards. The managers are motivated by the principal's objective and the behavior pattern is collective, pro-organizational and trustworthy. Thus, under this theory, first of all, values as standards are identified and formulated. Second step is to develop training programs that help to achieve excellence. Thirdly, moral support is important to fill any gaps in values. Now we will discuss sociological theory. The sociological approach to the study of corporate governance has focused mostly on board composition and the implications for power and wealth distribution in society. Problems of interlocking directorship and the concentration of directorship in the hands of privileged class are viewed as a major challenge to equity and social progress. The sociological theory mainly focus on board composition. They also emphasize the implication of power and wealth distribution in society. Under this theory, board composition, financial reporting, disclosure and auditing are necessary mechanisms to promote equity and fairness in society. In this section, we would discuss various models of corporate governance. Depending upon the business practices, custom and culture, the processes of corporate governance differs from country to country. Besides the variety of capitalism in which countries are embedded, which explain the considerable variation in corporate governance models around the world. While there are different models, many of them can be clustered into the following board groups and each model has its own distinct features. Number first model is Anglo-American model. The traditional model of corporate governance is characterized by a separation of ownership and management. The corporate governance system of the USA, UK, Canada, Australia and other Commonwealth countries have broadly defined the Anglo-Saxon model. This board is called unitary board model, in which executive and non-executive directors are on the same board but in different proportions. It is considered as a liberal model which is common in Anglo-American countries, which tends to give priority to the interest of shareholders. The CEO has broad powers to manage the corporation on a daily basis, but needs to get board approval for certain major actions such as hiring his and her immediate subordinates, raising money, acquiring other company, major capital expansions or other expensive projects. The board of directors acting through committees such as the audit committee, nomination and remuneration committee, the power distributed between the shareholders and the board of directors. The ultimate and residuary powers lie with the shareholders. Now we will discuss the German model. In the German model of corporate governance, even though the shareholders own the corporation, they do not directly control the governance mechanism. In fact, Germany, the legal system is quite explicit that firms do not have a sole duty to pursue the interest of shareholders because of the system of corporation. German model also is known as the Continental Europe model. This model is prevalent in Germany, Switzerland, Austria and the Netherlands. The above model is based on the stakeholder theory of corporate governance. This model was a liquid and less developed market, closely held shares, interfirm, cross-shareholding and a dominant role of banks. The German model is the dual board system. The companies have a two-tier board, number first supervisory board and number second executive board. This model is prevalent in Japan. It is also based on the support of the bank and the government. The Japanese model is based on the contingency governance. The government plays an important role in supervision and control over corporate activities. They ensure that effective policy of corporate governance in an organization. The bank and financial institution play a pivotal role in corporate governance. The structure of the board of directors of the Japanese model is the unitary board, where important decisions taken by the entire board. Banks and financial institutions do not have any control over a company, as the company is run successfully in terms of growth and market share. Managers do not have fiduciary responsibility only to shareholders, but also to the stakeholders. In practice, the managers are expected to pursue the interest of a wider set of stakeholders, including employees, customers and shareholders who are considered part of it. In Japan, this is also known as relational board structure, which includes the representatives of labor, land and major customers or suppliers whose position represent their special relationship with the company. The corporate board of Japanese company consists of chairman, vice chairman, president, senior managing director, introduction, managing directors and directors. The president of the board has the power to nominate the directors with the consultation of chairman and other senior members of the board. The shareholders at the general meeting elect the members nominated by the board. Real authority vests in the hands of the president and the top management committee. Now we will discuss Indian corporate governance model. Indian model of corporate governance is somewhat similar to the Anglo-American model. Here, in most of the cases, the company board is dominated by the family members and founders. There are no instances of corporate failures in Indian companies due to the systematic management by family promoters who, despite their large shareholdings in their companies, always consider themselves as a trustee of public wealth. In an Indian model of corporate governance, the shareholders have the right to elect the members of the board. The primary role of the members of the board is to formulate all the policies and strategies for top management and monitoring their performance. Government, regulatory agencies and stock exchanges keep check on the companies through various codes, regulations and policy etc. For a sustainable development, a corporation take care of stakeholders' interests who are directly or indirectly attached to the company. So friends, let us summarize the session. We discuss number first, the corporate governance is the process of decision making and the process by which decisions are implemented in large business is known as corporate governance. Number second, in agency theory, the owners are the principals, but principals may not have the knowledge or skill for getting the objectives executed. Number third, the word steward means a person who manages another's property or estate. Number 4, in the German model of corporate governance, even though the shareholders own the corporation, they do not directly control the governance mechanism. And number 5, in an Indian model of corporate governance, the shareholders have the right to elect the members of the board. I hope this session would have made your concept for the theories of corporate governance, agency theory, shareholder theory, stakeholder theory, stewardship theory, sociological theory, models of corporate governance, Anglo-American model, the German model, the Japanese model, Indian corporate governance model very clear. I hope you have enjoyed this session. Thank you.